Oh, there it is.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the City Commission meeting of May 13th, 2025. And it's the 13th, but I think it looks like it's going to be a lucky day out there. I see a lot of people, so glad you're here. Appreciate it. We're going to start off with the opening prayer with Dr. Delwyn Williams from St. John Missionary Baptist Church. And then Daniel Schultz is going to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So Dr. Schultz, Dr. Williams, please stand.
How everything looks. Good morning.
Good morning. Shall we pray together? Dear God, our God, we are grateful and we're thankful for your goodness in this earth, and we're thankful for another day to be able to gather together and recognize your splendor and your wonder in this earth. This definitely is the day that you have made, and we are called together now to rejoice and be glad in it. We thank you, our God, for this wonderful place that you have allowed us to call home, and we thank you for those that govern it. We ask your blessings upon those that are presently in position and those that will transition in a few days, and that we might be able to see your greatness even all the more. In this day when seemingly there's so much contention and strife and ill will towards so many of us within this day, our God, we pray that your power and your presence would penetrate each and every one of us so that we might be able to know that you are God and God alone. Manifest yourself in a marvelous way as we invoke your presence and your power into this place so that we might be able to see you more clearly and follow you more nearly, and then ultimately love you more dearly. In the mighty and the masterful and the miraculous and the magnificent name of he who died that we all might be saved, we declare your glory in this place, even in the name of Jesus. Amen.
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 All right, Daniel, can you come up and lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Smith, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Rowan,
Here.
Commissioner Lucas. Present. Commissioner Granger.
Present.
Commissioner Street.
Here.
Commissioner Halagus.
Here.
Mayor, you have quorum.
Thank you, appreciate that. You all have had a chance to read the minutes. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting of April the 24th?
Motion we approve minutes.
Second.
Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas.
Yes.
Commissioner Granger.
Yes.
Commissioner Street.
Yes.
Commissioner Halagus.
Yes.
Mayor Rowan.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, are there any additions, deletions, modifications to today's agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, from staff, we would like to move item 12E, that's 12 Edward. I'd like to move that to the May 27th meeting.
12E. Okay, so that's 2, 5, 27. Is there a motion to approve?
A motion that we move 12E to May 27th meeting and approve all other items. Second.
Second.
And approve,
For the agenda.
pardon?
And approve the agenda.
Good, thank you. And we have a second. Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas.
Yes.
Commissioner Granger.
Yes.
Commissioner Street.
Yes.
Commissioner Halagus.
Yes.
Mayor Rowan.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Any other additions, deletions, modifications? I would like to add a discussion of the shrimp boat parking. There's some parking along Bayview that I would like to have us discuss. And so I would like to add that to the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, as you know, I verbally briefed you on this on Friday, Mr. Mayor, and also Commissioner Street, and I provided a written update to the other commissioners as I promised you I would. So I really have no other information. Given the length of today's agenda, I would recommend against that addition.
I'm sorry, what was the crux of what you said?
said, as we discussed last Friday, I briefed you verbally as well as Commissioner Street and updated y'all. As I promised you I would, I provided written update to the other commissioners. And just given the length of everything we have to do on the agenda today, I have no new information, so I would recommend against adding that to today's agenda.
Okay, let me discuss a little bit. I asked you to put this on the agenda May the 2nd, but if you want to give us a final report, so to speak, at our next meeting, I'll withdraw my request if you can do that. Do you
Don't
understand
believe
where
your
I'm coming
request is
from?
valid at this time, Mr. Mayor,
Pardon me?
respectfully. I don't believe your request is valid at this time, Mr. Mayor, respectfully.
You don't believe what?
That your request to not update everyone today is valid at this time.
My request is not valid?
At this time.
I asked you May the 2nd to do that. I think that's
It was
adequate time.
It was last Friday, Mr. Mayor.
Pardon me?
It was last Friday, Mr. Mayor.
I have an email dated May the 2nd that you apparently didn't read. Yes, we did discuss it last Friday.
That's right,
but
May the 9th.
You want me to pull up the May 2nd email and show it to you?
I'm sure if you'd like to, Mr. Mayor. I'm just saying we've got the agenda before us today. We've got a lot to do, and I've already provided an update to you and Commissioner Street and the other commissioners. I have no new information at this time.
Okay.
So
Are you going to bring it up at the next meeting so we can talk about it, or do you want to talk about it
if I have some new
today?
information, I'm happy to. So
I would like to have an up-to-date of where we are on this thing. It's been going on for a year, and I think we're entitled to know about it. If you want to wait till next week, that's fine. Our next meeting, that's okay. If you want to talk about it today, that's okay.
I think what I'm trying to say is you all are up to date, Mr. Mayor.
Well-
when I briefed you verbally on Friday in my office, May 9th, then I briefed Commissioner Street that same day, and as I promised you I would, I provided an update in writing to the rest of the commissioners. I have no new information at this time.
All right. In my opinion, we are not up to date. Are you going to talk about it in 2 weeks, or are we going to talk about it today?
If I have some new information in 2 weeks, I'll be happy to talk about it.
Well, I think what you asked is you wanted to know if we would put it on, that y'all were discussing it.
Yes, ma'am.
But-
You can weigh in.
Yeah, I just want to say, somebody either needs to move a motion to discuss it or not move a motion to discuss it, and then let's go from there, if that's cool with everybody.
Well, I will withdraw my motion to discuss it if we're going to have a discussion in 2 weeks. But it doesn't sound like I'm going to get what I want, because this is a fluid sort of thing. It's not carved in stone yet. So, to go along with Ms. Halligus, is there a motion to discuss this week? All right. The motion fails for lack of a second, but I would like to make it very clear, in 2 weeks, I want to hear an update, and I want it on the agenda, and I want it in front of the people here. And I don't think I have all that information, because I don't think you know all the information at the moment. So, in 2 weeks, I'm coming back. All right, now we are going to move to proclamations, awards, and announcements. All right, get on microphone. Mr. Roberto Diaz. You can bring your fellow firefighters. Looks like you have some friends. Good morning. Engineer Roberto Diaz began his career with the Panama City Fire Department May 16th, 2000. He was promoted to driver engineer July 19th, 2016. His education and training include associate's degree in fire science, Gulf Coast State College, and the State of Florida Pump Operator Certificate. Roberto is one of the fire department's senior driver engineers. He has a positive impact on his crew, the fire department, and the community. He displays good leadership skills and helps train our firefighters on the roles and responsibilities of the driver engineer position. He was also a member of the Urban Search and Rescue Team from 2005 to 2015. So Roberto, in recognition and appreciation of 25 years of dedicated service to the city of Panama City, Florida, we now present you with this certificate for your good service for 25 years. So thank you very much. There you go.
Can you guys try to punch and hold?
Get friendly. Too many firefighters.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Proud of you.
What do you have? All right, Public Works, let's go. Front and center.
This is a proclamation regarding public works.
Man.
How we doing, buddy? All right. Oh, is that you?
Sorry, buddy.
Pick your spot.
Hey, no potholes.
I know, you told me.
Doing great.
And I'm sorry, I apologize for laughing.
There's not a water leak in it.
Are you okay? Yeah. Nothing broken?
Morning, guys. How y'all doing? Morning. All right. How you doing?
Okay.
Professor.
Public works professionals focus on the infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainability and resilient communities, public health, high quality of life, economic development and prosperity, and well-being of the citizens of Panama City. And whereas without our dedicated engineers, managers, and public works employees at all levels of government, along with those within the private sector, infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided. These phenomenal public works servants are relied heavily upon rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, solid waste systems, maintaining public buildings and other structures and facilities deemed essential to the quality of life for our citizens. And whereas nearly 32% of the City of Panama City employees make up the Public Works Department locally, it is in the public's interest for our citizens, civic leaders, and children in the City of Panama City, Florida, to gain knowledge and understanding of and maintain an ongoing interest in the significance of public works and its programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association. Now, therefore, I, Michael X. Rowan Sr., by virtue of the authority vested in me as Mayor of Panama City, do hereby proclaim the week of May 18th through May 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in various activities, events, and ceremonies dedicated to paying tribute to our public works professionals and to recognize the substantial contributions they make daily in protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the city of Panama City to be affixed this 13th day of May in the year of our Lord. So congratulations to the Public Works employees.
And the big public works thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
The camera can't see you.
Bye. Okay.
Yeah, go fix something.
I had to do something. Thank you, sir. Listen to that.
Oh, man.
Yeah. My day started out good. 20.
Need something.
I knew that when you started. She set it up well. That was great.
She's a nice girl.
She is. I miss her down the hall.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I think she
Because-
likes her other
Oh,
business.
she's doing great out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we needed somebody out there.
Yeah.
In the county. Anyways.
That's actually.
Now we have Police Officers Day, Police Officers Memorial Day, so could the police men and women come forward? Good morning.
Morning, Chief.
Hey, good morning.
Okay.
Hey, Johnny.
Johnny, oh, no.
Here you go. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which May 11th falls as National Police Week, and whereas the members of the Panama City Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Panama City, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that these brave officers are recognized for their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by shielding the innocent from deception and the weak from oppression. And whereas the men and women of the Panama City Police Department provide a vital service every hour of every day, now therefore I, Michael X. Rowan Sr., by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Panama City, Florida, do hereby proclaim the week of May 11th through May 17th as National Police Week. This is throughout the Panama City, Florida city, and we call upon all citizens to join in commemorating law enforcement officers, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have established an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. I thank the citizens of the Panama City Police Department for observing May 25th, 2025 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who through their courageous deeds have made the ultimate sacrifice or have become disabled in the performance of duty. And I ask that we recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. In witness whereof I have hereby set my hand and caused the official seal of the city of Panama City, Florida, to be affixed this 13th day of May in the year of our Lord, 2025. So congratulations to the peace officers that we have here.
Thank you.
Thank you. There now is a proclamation for National Safe Boating Week. Is any representative, looks like somebody's coming forward? Mr. White, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. More than 100 million Americans continue to enjoy boating as a popular recreational activity, and Panama City is blessed with many waterways to enjoy. And whereas the state of Florida leads the nation in the number of registered vessels, and by far had the most accidents, 16% of those vessels are personal watercraft, which are involved in 24% of those accidents. And whereas safe boating begins with preparation, the Coast Guard estimates that human error accounts for most boating accidents and that life jackets could prevent nearly 85% of boating fatalities. And whereas drowning was the cause of 80% of recreational boating fatalities, 75% of those who drowned were not wearing proper life jackets. And whereas through basic boating safety procedures such as carrying life-saving, distress, and communications equipment, wearing life jackets, attending safe boating courses, participating in free boat safety checks, and staying sober when navigating, we can help ensure boaters and America's coastal, inland, and offshore waters stay safe throughout the season. And whereas the U.S. Coast Guard and its federal, state, and local safe boating partners encourage all boaters to explore and enjoy America's beautiful waters responsibly, and whereas National Safe Boating Week is observed to bring attention to important life-saving tips for recreational boaters so that they can have a safer, more fun experience out on the water throughout the year. Now, therefore, I, Michael X. Rowan Sr., by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Panama City, do hereby proclaim May 17th through May 23rd, 2025 as National Safe Boating Week. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Miss.
She's going to take a picture.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take your picture.
You got it?
Okay. There's agenda on there, I think.
What's the name?
I have a thing.
There's also security. Long. Something until last year. Well, the inside of the that's how we kind of that little bit it is.
Let's see, we have a presentation from the St. Andrews and St. Joseph Bay Estuary Program.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Commissioners, for this opportunity to talk a little bit about one of our projects that we have ongoing with the city.
Is your
of Panama
microphone
City.
working?
Sounds like it. You need me to talk louder?
Talk louder, please.
Maybe I'll just get closer. All right, so one of our projects that we have, I'll give you a little bit of background to kind of tell you how we got here. So we have a stormwater committee that meets quarterly.
Can you just introduce yourself so everyone knows?
Oh, I'm sorry. Jessica Graham, I'm the executive director for the St. Andrews St. Joseph Bays Estuary Program. And so with that program, we have a stormwater committee that meets quarterly with representatives from the public works departments of the different cities. So this is a perfect week to present this project. So we were aware of a funding opportunity to install innovative technologies to reduce marine debris. We presented that with an idea of installing catch basins into stormwater inlets to our stormwater committee. They liked the idea, and it was voluntary if they wanted to join in on the grant application. And so we partnered with 4 different cities: the city of Panama City Beach, Lynn Haven, and Parker. And so we'll be installing up to about 42 different lithotraps across these cities. Right now, we have identified 4 locations in Panama City. We measured over 20 inlets, but many of them were not suitable for the catch basins. As you know, the infrastructure is aging, and they have to be able to make sure that the catch basins are supported because they can become heavy if they are full. We're hoping also to be able to increase that number as time goes on based on funding. Some of the catch basin or the inlets were suitable, but the expense, it was cost prohibitive at this time. So we're hoping to increase that number as we go along in the project. The other component of this project is an education and outreach component. With that is the installation of murals across these different cities. And so we've been coordinating with city staff to be able to identify those locations that would be suitable based on foot traffic and other parameters that they found important. We just started this process with them. And so we are going to continue to coordinate to identify these locations. These will be professionally designed and installed murals in different locations. And so we'll follow the process that the city has laid out for those approvals. We also will be developing different brochures and different static copies, as well as an online tool for the public to be able to access. So there's a lot of great things going on, a lot of different aspects of this project. I do just really want to thank the staff and their supervisors for their involvement in continuing the coordination with us. And I know our committee is a little extra, but they are very responsive and very collaborative, and we really appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you, Jessica.
While we have Jessica here, was there any update? I know we were going to do some, potentially some testing at Carl Gray Park on some of the, I guess, I don't know what you call it. Do you have any update on that? Sorry to not ask you before you.
That's okay. Yes, so we have been working with Florida, FWC, Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. They previously replanted seagrass where the El Dorado grounded. It did not take very well, so they're trying to redo that. They think that the elevation of the sediment that they filled was not adequate enough, and so when you guys were dredging Carl Gray, I was making plans. And so we contacted you to see if we could use about 30 cubic yards of that to fill that and get it back up to that elevation. We are waiting on FWC to get a lab under contract to be able to do that testing, and then I'll work with Clint, I believe, as the point of contact from now on.
So this is just another good example of the great partnership we have with the Estuary Program and just problem solving. And so where we would have just taken, I think, the sediment off to a landfill or something like that, we're able to utilize it.
I think it was for roads, perhaps. Yeah, so great, still repurposed, but yeah, this is the sediment that they were asked to use by the permit was beach grade, which is not really what you have at Carl Gray. And so we're hoping taking it straight from Carl Gray will be better off, but it does depend because it is a boat ramp, so there may be contaminants that will not allow it to be used, but that's what we're trying to figure out. Thank you. Appreciate you guys' willingness to let us explore the opportunity.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, now we have community announcements. City of Panama City community announcements. Please stay informed and engaged with the latest happenings. We encourage you to participate in our diverse range of events, programs, and meetings designed to foster a dynamic and connected community. For more details and updates, please visit our website at panamacity.gov and follow the City of Panama City Facebook page. We are starting early voting for Ward 1 runoff election this week from 8 to 5 at City Hall. Early voting opened yesterday and will continue until this Friday, the 16th. We encourage you to make your voice heard in the polls this week to elect the next Ward 1 commissioner. Election day will be Tuesday, May 20th, with polls open from 7 to 7. If you need to verify your district, visit the Bay County Supervisor of Elections website at bayvotesflorida.gov. The MLK Recreation Center will soon feature a new sculpture at its main entrance with approximately $80,000 allocated for this important addition. The artist will be compensated through Burke Construction as the sculpture is part of the overall project they were awarded through the bidding process. As this represents our community's largest public art investment to date, we are seeking meaningful input from the public to help shape its direction. We want to hear from you. What does the MLK Rec Center mean to our community, past, present, and future? We are gathering community stories through audio and written responses. To kick off this effort, we invite you to visit the Glenwood Farmers Market, May 24th from 9 to 11 to record your audio response. You may also stop by City Hall or the Parks, Culture and Recreation office between 8 and 11, May 27th through May 30th. If you would like to schedule a time outside of these hours, email us at pcr@panamacity.gov. Written responses can also be submitted via email to pcr@panamacity.gov. Your voice matters and will help guide this historic project. Join our 4th tree giveaway Saturday, May 24th at the Glenwood Farmers Market from 8 to 12. Each household is eligible to receive up to 2 trees. This is a wonderful opportunity to beautify your property and contribute to the greening of our community. We encourage all residents to take advantage of this event and help us in our efforts to enhance the local environment. Trees are available on a first-come, first-served basis while supplies last, so be sure to arrive early to secure your choice. Later this month, we will observe Memorial Day and honor those who served our country in military service and paid the ultimate sacrifice with their lives. In memory, city offices will be closed Monday, May 26th. Normal business will resume Tuesday, May 27th, and garbage pickup will continue as usual during this holiday. Trash, however, like yard debris, will not be collected. We are excited to continue building up our community with our 9th consecutive partnership with World Changers. World Changers is bringing hundreds of volunteers to our city to complete home improvement repairs and renovations in homes that need it most. These improvements will focus on Millville and downtown North homes in partnership with the Panama City CRA, or CRA. World Changers is offering all labor for free, while the CRA is funding all necessary material fees to make this program possible. Eligible homeowners within these 2 districts are encouraged to apply as early as possible to the applications found at panamacity.gov now through June 1st. This work will not only repair homes, but also contribute to the overall safety and well-being of our community. The 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army, the City of Panama City, in partnership with regional bases, military units, and the community, will host a special celebration in downtown honoring all military branches, service members, and their families. Join us June 14th for a 5K starting at 7 a.m., followed by fitness challenges at 8 a.m., and a formal ceremony at 9 a.m. featuring the presentation of colors, a national anthem performance, and remarks from military leaders. From 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., enjoy performance by the 13th Army Band, history and interactive displays, military equipment, and family-friendly activities. Registration for the 5K is available at runsignup.com/thiswelldefend5K. So be aware of that celebration of the anniversary of the U.S. Army in the city of Panama City. All right, now moving on to public hearings.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Commissioners, item 6A is ordinance number 3265, allowing golf carts in the neighborhoods of Candlewick, Glenwood, Forest Park, Lake Huntington, the Liberty Subdivision, and Downtown North. Attached for your consideration, there you go, that's the right map, thanks. Attached for your consideration is the first reading of ordinance 3265 that amends the golf cart section of the municipal code to include the Candlewick area, the Glenwood area, the Forest Park area, the Lake Huntington area, the Liberty Subdivision area, and the Downtown North areas that golf carts can travel on or across streets therein. To allow golf carts to travel on streets within these areas, the City Commission must consider a number of factors, including the speed, volume, and character of motor vehicle traffic using the streets within the area, and then determine that golf carts may safely travel on or across the streets. The police chief has determined that the residential streets within these areas meet these factors. The proposed ordinance designates all existing streets within the Candlewick, Glenwood, Forest Park, Lake Huntington, Liberty Subdivision, and Downtown North areas as being safe for golf carts to safely travel on or across public roads or streets. The first reading of ordinance 3265 includes an overall map that shows the FDOT roadways in red. The FDOT roadways are roads that golf carts may not travel on or across. Staff was asked to explore expanding the golf cart-friendly neighborhoods to these neighborhoods. In order to include FDOT roadways in the golf cart designated areas to allow the golf carts to cross the FDOT roadways, not travel upon, but only cross. We are required to conduct a traffic study and seek FDOT's permission. Staff is in the process of seeking FDOT's permission to cross roadways such as US 98, US Highway Business 98, and Beck Avenue, but those have not been provided that permission yet. Attached to this letter are memorandums for following informational purposes. A memo summarizing Florida Statute 316.212, operation of golf carts on roadways. A memo summarizing the city's municipal code, chapter 22, article 7, golf carts. And then the City Commission first adopted ordinance number 2518 on January 14th of 2014 that designated the Cove neighborhood as an area to allow golf carts to travel on the streets. Then on October 13th of 2015, the City Commission amended that code by also designating the Millville neighborhood area to allow golf carts. And on June 12th of 2018, the City Commission amended the code again to designate Sweet Bay as a golf cart friendly neighborhood. And on October 9th of 2018, the Venetian Villa neighborhood was designated to allow golf carts. Finally, on August 13th of 2024, the City Commission amended the code to designate St. Andrews and the downtown area to allow golf carts. So you have the ordinance attached here. We also passed out a slight, and I just want to point out this is the first reading, but a slight modification to the proposed ordinance. It's highlighted in red, what again you just were passed out, requiring child safety restraints for children 5 years of age or younger. That was the one feedback that we got from the police chief, is that there have been some concerns of very small children, even almost infants at times, riding in the laps, and that is something that is not safe. And obviously we want folks to enjoy the golf carts in their communities, but we wanted to do it in a safe manner. So that ordinance is before you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, for the first reading today. And I know that y'all might have some questions, and so staff is available, including Mr. Zimmerman and Mr. McSwain, if y'all have any additional questions. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Any questions from the staff regarding this? So this is a first reading. We're not going to vote on it today. Anybody want to speak?
Yeah, I'll just say thank you, staff, for bringing this forward. I know first round we had a couple of places, and second round we kind of added more to it. I will ask for the second reading, can we include Liberty either in the carve-out section of the map, but I would like for them to be included as well in this map to prevent any further confusion.
Yeah, there was one. I guess the wrong one got sent. It is in the ordinance, Commissioner Granger, and we'll make sure the correct map makes it there next time. Our apologies. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, okay, it's the correct map in the packet, just like the incorrect map just got sent to IT.
I want to echo the thanks from Commissioner Granger, and want to also thank the citizens in Glenwood who have been very vocal in wanting to get the right as well. in those neighborhoods. So thank you, staff, for making this happen.
So they can't cross roads that are 35 mile an hour or more, is that, or how's that work? I know if they're DOT, but there's also a speed limit, I think, which is part of the DOT, I believe.
Right, the roads in red cannot be crossed by a golf cart
Okay.
or driven on.
So just to clarify, because this is where people get really confused and we say golf carts can't cross and we can't do that. Okay. So this ordinance is for the city. Okay. The state, you can go on any road that's under 35 if you're street legal. Okay. I want to make sure the public understands these are these golf cart friendly neighborhoods, which don't require the same requirements as street legal golf carts. So if you're not in a street legal golf cart, as what we were talking about today, you cannot cross these roads. But if you have a street legal golf cart, you may cross those roads. So I just want to make sure everybody understands golf carts are already legal. The street legal ones are already legal everywhere. This is for a city ordinance for these golf cart friendly neighborhoods that don't have quite the same criteria to be able to operate.
Street legal are also called low-speed vehicles, aren't they?
Yeah, you could say that.
Yes.
Okay, because I think that's what the state says. Anybody else want to speak?
It's a public hearing.
Pardon me?
It's a public hearing.
Thank you. This is a public hearing on these golf carts. Any member of the public wish to speak?
Yes, Mr. Henry.
Walter P. Henry, 614 Maple Avenue. I know you're talking about golf carts crossing streets. Are y'all over here have signs where these golf carts can cross? You know, they have public crossing for people to cross. They can just take any crossing that they want to and cause problem with vehicles running up and down the street, and they just cross right in front of them. I think y'all need to have some type of marking on these streets where golf carts can cross.
Thank you.
So I'll just add, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, we will be working with the logistics team in the sign shop to add appropriate signage if this ordinance is adopted in 2 weeks to clarify, the limitations with a golf cart itself.
All right, thank you. This thing that we just got passed out, is this, what is this?
It's just a slight addition in red. So Mr. Zimmerman will read that ordinance header in a second, and we're just adding the red section to require safety restraints for any children 5 years of age or younger, kind of in alignment with state law. Again, we've just that's the biggest concern that we've gotten feedback from the police chief and his team is that there's very small children, sometimes even being held like babies in golf carts, and that's just not safe. And so while there is flexibility with golf carts, obviously very small children need to be properly secured because even a golf cart doing 10, 12, 13 miles an hour abruptly stopping could be problematic. So upon the passing of this ordinance, if it does in 2 weeks, the initial efforts police chief is committed to would be more educational in nature, but we want to be able to point to something and say, hey, this is in alignment with our ordinance, so children 5 and under need to be safely restrained even in a golf cart. Again, we're just focused on the really little children, that aren't going to necessarily be strong enough to, maybe hold on or sit, fully in a seat.
Do you think 5 is right? I don't know. I'm just curious.
Well, that's in alignment with state law. So,
State law says?
Yeah. So we didn't, there's limitations on that in regards to other vehicles. And when we were discussing it, with the police chief and the city attorney's team, I really didn't want to pick some arbitrary number. So I think aligning with the state is most appropriate.
Okay.
Mayor, if
Anybody else want to speak?
yeah, I'd like to just clarify in just normal language again, gentle language. It's that, so the whole restraint thing came up, thank you, Chief, for that. And really why Natalie, at least if I understand this right, the whole reason it was brought up is because right now, if, let's say the police see something like that and it could possibly be endangering a child, right now the only teeth they have is to charge them with a felony of child endangerment, which is really overkill, right? Maybe, hopefully. So this will be a city ordinance that would allow them to first do some educational pieces with it. But then it would be like, if they were to even get a ticket, it would be a misdemeanor charge. Also, this will be a little bit of a more complicated because these golf cart friendly areas do not require what street legals do. But if you have a child under 5 at this point, what this is saying is you would have to install some kind of, seat belt into that. So that is a little additional cost to somebody. But at the end of the day, I think that, what the chief is saying. So I just want to make sure y'all kind of understood the reason behind, besides the safety, the obvious safety was kind of like, we don't want to have to charge somebody with a felony if they felt like they needed to. It's a little bit over the top. So this will prevent that from happening. Unless there is a real child endangerment issue, then they would. So just
All right.
clarification.
Thank you.
Perfectly said, Commissioner.
All right.
Read the title?
Please.
You need to read it.
Okay. Ordinance number 3265 by title. An ordinance of the City of Panama City amending ordinance number 3233, amending Chapter 22, Article 7, allowing golf carts in the Candlewick, Downtown North, Lake Huntington, Forest Park, Liberty, and Glenwood area, requiring child safety restraints for children 5 years of age or younger, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the severance of any part of this ordinance declared invalid, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Now moving on to the quasi-judicial hearings.
Good morning. During quasi-judicial proceedings, the Commission will hear evidence and render a decision regarding the matter presented based upon the evidence received. The parties before the Commission and the public are entitled to present evidence and cross-examine witnesses. All parties and witnesses will be under oath and the entire proceedings recorded. The Commission is not bound by the strict rules of evidence and may consider any evidence which it deems relevant and trustworthy. Any member of the Commission may ask questions of the parties or the witnesses. Since quasi-judicial proceedings are legal in nature, everyone is expected to adhere to proper courtroom decorum and etiquette. Any comments or objections should be directed to the mayor. The burden of proof in a quasi-judicial proceeding rests with the applicant. Therefore, the applicant has the opportunity to address the Commission last, after all public participation, and before the Commission deliberates. At this time, for this item, 7A and B, I will swear in staff who will remain under oath during the entire proceedings. I will swear in additional parties that intend to testify during the public hearing after the city manager introduces the item. Staff, do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. At this time, I'll ask the Commission, since we only have one item, to disclose any ex parte communication. This is communication received outside this public hearing in which you intend to rely on, and you only need to disclose with whom you've spoken. Seeing none, thank you.
All right, item 7A is the first of two public hearings on ordinance 3264.1, an ordinance amending the future land use map of the city to reflect the land use designation of general commercial for a property located at Parker Drive, parcel ID 18213-000-000. As background information, the applicant has requested a future land use change and a rezoning to general commercial 2 or GC2. This item was previously reviewed by the Planning Board on April 14th of 2025, and the Planning Board recommended denial unanimously. The following documents are enclosed: ordinance 3264.1, the staff analysis report, recommendation and public comments, the adopted map series, including aerial, future land use, and zoning maps. Staff recommendation to the Director of Development Services is that the City Commission conduct the first public hearing. I know, Mayor, Commissioners, I'll just add, I know we had a lot of discussions about this, and there might have been some other considerations and staff discussions after the Planning Board's denial. I know we spoke about that with each and every one of you. I know that we had, Commissioner Lucas had requested that the applicant be here today. Do you know if they are, Mr. Fuller? Okay. So I think it'd be appropriate, Mr. Mayor, to the applicant explain what his desires are, if you so would allow, sir.
All right. Well, this is a public hearing. Would any member of the public wish to speak? And the developer certainly is a member of the public and can speak. Is he or she here? Okay, come on.
Check. All right. Good morning, guys. Thank you for having me.
raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, my name is Benjamin Jarakinis. I'm the owner of Parker Drive. It technically doesn't have an address right now, but I think it'd be, if I applied for an address, it'd probably be more like 13th because Parker doesn't go all the way through. But my goal is to create a boat storage RV trailer lot. It'd be a small business. It'd be me and only me owning it. And I feel like it'd be a very good fit for this property. There's a lot of commercial, a lot of mixed use right around this area. It does butt up to a couple residential homes. But
I'm sorry, could you put the other map up so so they can see what the applicant is talking about? There we go, thank you.
yeah, so that's it right there. So I'm sure you guys have already talked about it. Parker Drive does go all the way through. So it's that road right there on Parker doesn't exist against my property. It doesn't abut up against to it. So it'd be kind of like a 13th Street lot. Trying to do a very low impact business. It'd be very little power, a couple water taps over there. So it wouldn't be a huge impact on y'all's utility system. I know obviously any commercial, if I were to sell it years from now, somebody could come and do whatever they want with it. But that's overall my goal. Boat storage, trailer, business.
So you're applying for general commercial?
Yes, from my understanding, that's the only zoning that would allow this business.
Is that right, Michael? The only thing that would allow boat storage is general commercial?
Yes. Sorry, Michael Fuller, Director of Development Services. Yes, for storage, the only, storage is allowed, the least intense zoning district that storage is allowed in is GC2. So he's requesting a GC2 zoning district with an underlying land use of general commercial.
And Michael, the red here, is that GC1, GC2, what is that?
So this is the future land use map, which there's only a
Just
GC. It's the zoning map that distinguishes GC1, GC2. And I'm trying to,
Right here on the next item, it looks like it's GC2.
2 on the north side.
No, this is the-
No, he had another one.
This is the-
It came up for just a quick second.
That's,
There
There you go.
that's the zoning map. And so north,
Well, no, you had it, the one with the pink on it, sir. Other way. There you go, right there.
that's it.
Thanks.
so yeah, GC2 to the north.
And so he wants GC2.
That's correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yep.
Do they still have to put fences up around it and stuff like that to make it look sort of neat?
Yeah, so any commercial use adjacent to single-family use is required by our land development code to put up a 10-foot wide landscape buffer that includes at least a 6-foot fence or wall or shrubs, but it's got to be thick enough that it creates that, that it screens the commercial use from the single-family residences.
So, Mr. Fuller, was there any opposition at the planning board?
No, there was not.
And the reason for the planning board voting denial?
The reason they cited is its proximity to single-family residential, R1.
Okay.
So as far as you know, the neighbors are not complaining?
No, not that I know.
Would you tell us the truth?
No, I would, and nobody came to that last meeting. And
Okay.
nobody's knocked on my door or anything like that.
I got it. Okay. Well, thank you.
Where would your entrance to this property be?
To develop it, it'd be again, the boat storage, trailer, RV.
No, not interest,
Oh.
entrance. Where would you come and go into and out of the
Oh,
property?
it'd be off of 13th Street. That'd be the entrance point.
Okay, so it wouldn't, okay, would be opposite of the residence?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
13th Street's the only way you can get in and out of this thing, isn't it?
Correct.
Because it looks like the map looks like everything's kind of blocked off in there.
Yeah, so Parker Drive goes up to the last property line, but it's completely fenced off, and I don't know who put the fence there. I don't know exactly what's going on right there, but the road just stops, and it's a dead end.
I see.
And Mayor, my reason for the question is that with future development, the possibility of using Parker Drive, he may have planned to do that. That's why I asked.
Oh, well, yeah, it looks like somebody might want to use it, yeah.
For an entrance and exit to your,
Oh, of course.
to your property, which would put it even further away from the residents.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah,
Appreciate it. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Would you like to read, Mr. Zimmerman?
Would. This is the first reading
Yeah.
of 7A, ordinance number 3264.
Excuse me, point of order. We do have another
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see
participant
you.
from the audience.
Hi, thank you.
Mr. Henry, do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I promise. Walter P. Henry, 614 Maple Avenue. I know you said none of the residents is saying anything about this on Parker Drive. Do y'all have a rezoning sign or anything sitting on this property that the people knowing that this has been finna happen? Now, folks do not know something because some folks don't get the newspaper. Nobody going through the city stat and checking, seeing what is happening in their neighborhoods. I think it should have been some type of sign there showing that's what's going to be put in their neighborhood around their houses. Now, I don't know it. I know the planning board said they didn't prove it. They need to go by what they say. You put them in that board. You need to go by what they say. You can change what you want to change, but you put people in a place while you put them there, and you don't want to hear what they're saying. But it's best for the people in that neighborhood.
Thank you. That's a good question for the staff.
Yeah, so there is sign out there and also notices mailed to all property owners within 300 feet.
I apologize.
So a sign was placed there and notices to all within 300 feet, you said?
300 feet.
I would like to add, although I'm not like against you and your business or anything, but I would like to add that just because someone doesn't show up or they don't call or they don't do anything, we really have to look at the greater picture of what's best for those citizens that live over there, their property values and how it would affect that. So some people are just working and can't come and they can't whatever. So I'm not telling anybody what to vote, but I'm saying let's not vote based on just because somebody didn't show up. Because, they might have circumstances or they got a lot of things going on in their life that this just isn't, they're like, whatever, and they're just not really paying attention. So that is a big impact, in my opinion, to put a boat RV storage, which is well needed, but in that, that is a strong residential road right there. It's something to certainly think about. That's why it's nice we have 2 readings and we have time to go by and time to do all these things, which I know that you'll do too. So just because we let someone do a first reading doesn't mean we necessarily agree. It's just the process of going through it and, deciding when we get there.
Commissioner Howley, yes, if I may, what road are you saying is a strong residential road?
If you look on Parker, you look at everything around that from the backside to that corner lot, if you were turning on your road onto Parker, and I'm not saying it's beautiful right now. Okay, I don't know I can see there's not much, you have something on that property now, but you turn right there, that's all, if you turn on Parker, it's all residential.
Right, but this doesn't, can you go back to the aerial view, please, Mr.
There's a
Smith? Thank you.
fence
It
right
does,
there where the
Parker
line
doesn't
is.
go all the way through to 13th, so it ends on the southwest corner of this proposed change. And then, of course, you've got 13th, which is surrounded by mixed use. I think you just back one click, Jerome.
Yes.
Yeah, so you've got residential and mixed use, and then Florida Avenue and Jinx Middle School, and then light industrial. So
Yeah, but right there where you just showed, that picture right there, those are homes.
There are two homes adjacent to that.
Right.
Well, even going down that street, these are homes right here, going down Parker.
But it's blocked with a fence for whatever reasons. And who would have allowed the fence to block off the road?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah. Because the rest of the
It's
road
not,
isn't paved.
it's not a road, that's the issue. So if you,
rest of the
if
road
you look
isn't
at this picture, there's kind of a dark shadow on the bottom side of the hashed out property line. And if you look, there's almost like a little rusty colored spot in the road. That's where the road ends. There is no, I don't know why it says Parker Drive closer to 13th. That's incorrect. That is not a road.
Well, so, and this is why I always say you should
Yeah.
drive by.
Yes.
You drive by, you take a look at it, especially between the two readings, and it's because if the citizens don't say anything, then you assume it's probably not an issue. But looking at this and seeing R1 with these other houses, I don't care what's across the street from it. I'm talking about what's right there. But in the 2 weeks in between, you know, when there's even a question, at least for myself, I just drive by and take a look at it. And, you know, if it's the road doesn't exist and then that's fine. But I'm just saying, just because the citizens didn't say anything is all I'm saying, that we should all give our due diligence and making sure it fits.
Very fair point. I just didn't know what road you were saying was heavy residential.
No, I think that's an excellent point, that we should go by and take a look. And they put signs up on these things, so if the neighbors have a problem, they should be able to look. But, you know, a lot of people ignore that sort of stuff, so I think that's our job to go and look. I agree with you. It's great to have business, but it's also great to have residents, so. So it's just the first reading, so that, but those are very valid points from everyone, so thank you. Did you read it already?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'd like,
Nevin's getting ready to read. Anybody else want to speak?
like to read ordinance 3264.1, an ordinance amending the comprehensive plan future land use map of the city to reflect a land use designation of general commercial for a parcel of land located at Parker Drive, Panama City, Florida, providing for a repealer, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Item 7B is the first of two public hearings on ordinance 3264.2, an ordinance amending the zoning map of the city to reflect a zoning designation of general commercial to GC2 for a property located at Parker Drive, parcel ID 18213-000-000. Relevant information is in your packet and was previously discussed. Staff recommendation to the Director of Development Services is that the City Commission conduct the first public hearing.
This is a public hearing, Mayor?
Oh.
Or anyone else?
Right, this public hearing on ordinance 3264.2. Does any member of the commission wish to speak on this? Or any member of the public wish to speak? All right, Mr. Zimmerman, would you go ahead and read it?
Thank you. First reading, 3264.2, an ordinance zoning a parcel of land located at Parker Drive, Panama City, Florida, having approximately .665 acres, GC2, providing for severability and effective date.
All right, thank you. It's now time for audience participation, so if anyone wishes to speak, come to the podium, and you have 3 minutes, and then we will try to answer your question.
Good morning, Rufus Wood, 1911 East 10th Street. I am honored and humbled to continue to serve as the president of the Bay County branch NAACP. So good morning, commissioners, and to the mayor. Some people think that they are in community, but they are only in proximity. True community requires commitment and openness. So today I want to express my profound gratitude, and on behalf of the Bay County branch NAACP, I want to say thank you to our commissioners for your commitment to the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Recreation Center. I want to thank Commissioner Lucas for her commitment ever since she was elected. She came in and has been a strong advocate. I want to thank Commissioner Halagus for many years for her service, as well as advocating for the MLK Center. Thank Commissioner Street, and I know Commissioner Granger hasn't been on very long, but we want to thank you. And even as well, I want to say thank you to the mayor. I know we disagreed on several things in terms of some of your policies and some of your use of words, but I want to thank you for your vote and commitment to the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Recreation Center. The Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Recreation Center was established back in the 1940s by the Negro Improvement Association, as well as the Negro Women's Civic Club. I'm very proud to say that my father was one of the members of the Negro Improvement Association and was one of the pioneers. And this facility has served many families for decades. Unfortunately, we all know it was destroyed by Hurricane Michael back in 2018. But we want to thank you for your commitment to invest in the rebuilding of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Recreation Center. We are building a state-of-the-arts facility, and we are excited about that. This will ensure that the legacy of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Recreation Center will continue. I believe that it will be the heart of our community. I believe it's going to breathe new life into our community. And I believe that it's going to provide social, physical, and mental services for our young people. I wanted to say that at our last community meeting roundtable that we have each month, Attorney Alvin Peters raised the question, who will be the executive director and who will be the employees at this new facility? And I think those are all good questions. I think the commission, and we talk about openness, we need to be open about this question that was raised by Attorney Peters. So I am very much concerned, we are very much concerned about who the executive director will be, and we're concerned about who the employees will be. The executive director must be a person with visionary leadership skills, must be a person with strategic planning skills, must be a person with administrative skills, must be a person with human relations skills, a person that values diversity, and a person that loves and has a commitment to our community. Finally, we want to request that the commissioners will hold public hearings so we can get input from our community as relates to the employees and the functioning of this facility. Also, we want to meet with our city manager, Brother Jonathan.
Dr. Wood, do you need another minute?
Please.
Pardon me?
Please.
Okay, let me poll the commissioners.
So moved.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the other one.
Would you call, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but we got order I got to try to keep.
That's fine, I'm sorry, I just didn't hear the other one, I apologize.
You're all right, we're good. Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halagus?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so we've got another minute.
Okay, thank you very kindly for the extra minute. What I want to request is, we want to request public hearings by this commission in terms of who the executive director and the other employees will be at that facility. We want to meet with our city manager, and also we want to request copies of what your plans will be as relates again to that facility, the executive directors, and the employees. We think this is very important. You're putting up a $20 million building, which is going to be the state of the art. So we want to make sure that we have the right executive director. We don't want to just have anything. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Wood.
While I'm here, Walter P. Henderson, 14 Maple Avenue. I'd just like to say this. I know I'm not one of the mayor's special person. I know he's going out of office, not going to be here long. He already knew that himself. But while he's here, we need to give him some respect. But I already know it takes the majority of these commissioners to pass the vote. If you don't get the majority, it don't make no difference. Sometimes we already know. but we could still hear him. Some things he say I don't like myself. You know that. I can say it before his face. Don't have to say it behind his back. Now, I think that I know what he asks for you to do. I think I'll just stick it on the agenda. You might not pass it, you might do. But give him some respect. Give him a little respect on his way out. May God bless you.
Thank you, Walter.
Robert Slay, 1334 St. Andrews Boulevard. First of all, those of y'all that are leaving, thank y'all very much. Appreciate it. And Jenica, I apologize. Just this morning, I realized who you are. Me and my family and the Davis family and all, they've been close generations.
Yes, sir.
And but thank you all very much. And I want to harp here on the same thing that I started harping on here from the get-go. And I made some notes so my mind don't wander. I've had my latest massive heart attack here in the last 2 weeks. And now my heart's only about halfway working, so I'm on limited borrowed time. So every moment my eyeballs awake, I'm blessed. Right now, there's at least 11 schools in Panama City and surrounding areas, and Panhandle right here, that's teaching this outdoor education. And there's some of them going into fishing and everything and doing it right now. And FSU out here is starting to have a fishing class and everything. And I believe the marina down here should be kept for us, the people. Now, when I say I don't want it commercialized, what I mean is I don't want the seawall out there where us nephews, grandnephews, great-grandnephews, whatever, for generations has problems with that access out there to fish, because that there, it's been a hidden gem, but that's what one of the best saltwater places you can walk to and fish. These people that's coming up in these classes and all, they're future game wardens, they're future marine science, they're the future of all this stuff. And even the kids that's interested in getting into something like that, they need a good place to go fish and all. And our marina is that. Now, ain't nobody, like even me, when I say don't commercialize, I don't mean not to, I agree with on the footprint, what used to be there, the old restaurant and the little stores down there. Go ahead and use that place and everything, and put it back like it was. And I've been talking to different people at Howell Tackle and different sporting goods places. Let us as citizens pay for it. Right now, we see this here over in Forest Park. I've been through there, and I see all this 2-cent sales tax surplus for improving the roads. Let us give a tax and pay for the marina.
Thank you, Mr. Slade. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all very much. Y'all have a great, blessed day. I won't go ahead and get on out of here.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for your input.
Good morning, George Carruthers, 1702 West Beach Drive. 2 brief questions today. First, the city and the commission continue to struggle with regard to prioritizing safety issues for the citizens of this community. Case in point is the tragic death of mother and grandmother Donna Santiago along a section of Lisenby Avenue on April 3rd. She was struck by a vehicle in in a 2-block area that does not have a sidewalk, forcing pedestrians to walk in the gutter. The sidewalk on the opposite side ends in the middle of nowhere and would require a person to cross busy Lisenby Avenue to get to the business she was seeking. This area happens to fall in Ward 2. I'm not suggesting a sidewalk would necessarily have prevented her death. The point is, we talk about an $8 million unneeded path along Beach Drive month after month while ignoring the real safety issues elsewhere. The DOT cannot reappropriate these funds, but a simple administrative request to a legislative staff member can get this done without involving any legislative officials. So the question is, will the city take any action to resolve this safety issue on Lisenby Avenue? Second, it's my understanding that all of the Beach Drive multi-use path design work to date was based on the transfer of the road to the city, and the standards for design and construction were guided by the Florida Green Book. Since the FDOT has indicated that they do not intend to transfer the road to the city, and the road will continue to be a state road rather than a city road, does that mean that the multi-use path design would now be guided by FDOT design manual and not the Green Book, which has different design standards for multi-use path?
Thank you, Mr. Carruthers. So your question is safety on Lisenby, and does the path have to be redesigned? Because we're going to answer your question, but I want to make sure I know what your question is.
So the design was under the Florida Green Book. Those are design standards that the FDOT has for urban communities. But those, to my knowledge, and Jonathan can answer this later, to my knowledge, those do not apply if the construction is on a state road in this particular case. So then there are now different design standards under a different set of criteria and manual, and those are under the FDOT design construction manual, not the Green Book.
So you want to know if there are different design?
Yeah, are we going to have to follow the more stringent FDOT ones?
Thank you.
Got it?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
You got it?
Yeah, I got
Okay.
what he's asking.
I think I got it too.
We'll figure it out together.
Sometimes these questions get complex.
Derek Thomas, 1100 West 10th Street. I'll start where I left off last time because you said you didn't understand. I did make a mistake. The amount of money that St. Joe has paid to the city for the downtown marina, in December for the restaurant, they paid $33.96. That's their profit sharing. Apparently, everything under $650,000 goes to the bank, and they only pay 2% on everything over $650,000. That's a one-time thing for the entire year. When it comes to business, it's location, location, location. You gave them a great location. Everybody else has to pay for that in rent. $33, it's not a whole lot of money. The other one, the hotel paid $10,411.62 in October and nothing for November and December because they only pay if they're above 2/3 occupancy, and otherwise they pay nothing. That's less than the rent on a one-bedroom house, on a one-bedroom apartment in the city. That is nothing. They're making total over $500,000 in taxes, but everybody else who has a business has to pay rent. They didn't. They were singled out and given an opportunity to make a lot of money. And now you're doing the same thing with the marina. The $1.7 million that the St. Andrew Corporation, the Gorman Corporation is making, the city's getting $34,000. Now that's ridiculous. The city put up more than half of the money and they're getting that. The designs for the marina, apparently you were going to tell us what it was. You didn't. It was supposed to be told in April. You didn't tell us how many years they're going to get all of the revenue from that. I would like to know that. It was going to cost me $438 to get the plans for the old marina. I asked how many slips, what were the size of the slips, so that I could go and Google what they should actually cost and give you an actual number, because you said you were losing money on it. Instead, I didn't. I had to take a satellite picture and zoom in. I counted 137 covered and 103 uncovered slips. I didn't even count the long ones. And now you've put more slips into the same size thing, and you're saying that it was all because you wanted to put in larger slips. I don't know how that worked out, but the math doesn't add up. Your stories keep changing and your math doesn't add up. Across the street from me, the people, and I get another minute. I'd like to request. I'll try. The people.
Pardon me?
I would like to request another minute.
Okay, I'll move a motion to approve an extra minute.
All right, I'll second that motion. Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halagus?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Across the street from me, the property that's on sale now that Ms. Halagus has requested that they do something about the drainage, Clint's website is offline. I've left a message at his office, left a message on his phone number. He said he couldn't contact the owner. The person has put their property up on sale now, thanks to the advantage that the city gave him. They don't keep records, apparently, of what they actually did. I saw the city workers show up, offload the city-owned machinery, and the city workers maintaining the entire lot because code enforcement would not do anything to them when they had 12-foot tall weeds covered with seed pods covering the entire lot. They opened up a case against the property next to them and a case across the street, but couldn't see anything they're doing. Now, because the city went 95 feet from DeGamma and dug a hole in somebody's backyard that they can't even access because their backyard has been turned into a swamp, and then brought that dirt back and built up the back corner of that lot that is now for sale. The telephone pole that is there is 25 feet on the inside of the property line. But the swath that moved the water from 10th Street back to the back corner has been filled in, and that back corner of the corner lot looks like it goes 20 feet past the telephone pole, which is not their property. The city has used taxpayer money and city workers to enrich one of your friends who is exempt from code enforcement. And that is not right.
Thank you, Derek.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Hank
Mr. Picken.
820 West Beach Drive. I'm supposed to have some slides. There we go. I've had this slide up in full form, and I've edited it down so that it's a little more readable for all of us. This is the original estimate for the cost of the path that was in the original grant material. As you can see, the one circled number there is $9.4 million. This is all in millions rather than in thousands rather than in no zeros. At any rate, we're looking at 9.4 was the original estimate. I've been asking for a reconciliation of this with the current guesstimate of $6.5 million to construct the path. At the 11th hour last night, I received a new estimate that sums to $7.5 or $7.6 million as opposed to the $9.4 million. And if you could focus on two numbers here. I've done nothing but the subtotals, and the last subtotal that's on there is professional service fees. It includes $641,000 of engineering for a total of $1,008,89. So there you have the original sum and guesstimate of the engineering. And if you turn to the next exhibit, you will see where we are as of the end of September. And At the end of September, Panhandle Engineering had been paid $930,000 for engineering expenses for a total number of $1,013,000. So you're looking at a little over $1 million that have been spent so far in design. And interestingly enough, the summary that I got last night for $7.5 million excludes any sort of design. So the 7.5 is at least 8.5, which is at least $500,000 more than the grant. And this, of course, as I've said, is updated through the September 30th. And we all know that additional design work has been going on since September 30th. And although I've asked for this in a public records request as well as in front of this commission meeting before, I have not seen a number of real engineering expenses to date. So somewhere around between $1 million and $1.5 million that has already been spent on the design of this path is not included in the 7.5 that I was presented last night. So it looks to me as if we're running someplace between a guesstimate of $500,000 to $1 million over budget.
Thank you, Mr. Picken. Just out of curiosity, where'd you get this information last night?
I got it from an email from the public information.
And they sent it out last night? I'm just curious. I don't think I got it.
It came from the clerk's office.
Well,
It's the same thing that's been shared multiple times.
It has not been shared multiple times. I've been asking for this for over a month, and I was promised this at least a month ago. And I have put in several requests through not only to the commission, but also to the clerk of the cities. And I finally got it as of last night. But
what is this thing called that you got last night?
The good news is it's called Preliminary Opinion of Estimated Construction Costs, Beach Drive Multi-Use Path, 100% Design, City of Panama City, dated October 24th, which is exactly the same form that was attached to the grant in 2 years ago. But this one is dated 6 months ago.
We'll talk about this. Does everybody understand his question or his comment?
I have a copy, so that if you don't have a copy, I'll leave it. I also have a copy of the questions that I didn't have a chance to ask. One of them obviously is moot because I've now got the $7.5 million guesstimate, missing the design costs of over $1 million. And I've asked...
You're going to have to ask for another minute if you keep yapping up there.
Okay, I'll take another minute.
Pardon me?
May I ask for another minute?
Ms. Halligas?
Yes, of
You like to lead off with these things?
Well, you know, if you're going to do it for one, we might as well do it for everybody. Yes, sir.
Yes,
I'll make
yes,
a
ma'am.
motion to approve.
All right, I'll second.
Another minute for you, Mr.
I'll second that. Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halligas?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, got another minute.
If I could have my third exhibit then, which are the questions. Again, nothing new. As I said, the first question is moot because I've now got the 7.5 million guesstimate, again, missing any kind of design costs. To date, the city has spent, per that exhibit that I had up a minute ago, $891,000 on design. Had approved in 2 different commission meetings about $891,000, phase 1 and phase 2 of the design. They've already spent over $1 million. So the city has spent over $250,000 more than was authorized by the commission on the design. The third question here is similar to what Mr. Carruthers was asking, is how do you expect to be able to build this path when you only have a 43-foot right-of-way in parts of the east end of the road? And what is the ongoing cost of the maintenance of this path?
Thank you, Mr. Picken.
I'll leave with questions and...
We have them, sir. We have them. We have them.
He can still give them to you. He wants to give them to you.
He's going to give them to somebody.
Yeah, he's going to give them to somebody.
He just wants to walk up
He
here.
wants to come here and spit up here. No, I'm just kidding. I'm teasing. I know.
There's some more questions.
Thank you, sir.
This is the exhibit referred to.
I'll take it. Thank you. I'm a paper person too. I kind of like. Is that because I'm old?
Us old people like paper.
I used to be the youngest one up here. Not so much.
Okay, we're still on, pardon me? Oh, wait, let me, you want
I
to,
move we approve an additional minute for Reverend Henry.
I'll second.
all right, Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner-
Wait a second, wait.
Commissioner
Yeah,
Lucas,
just a moment,
Commissioner
sir.
Lucas,
Yes.
Commissioner Granger.
Yes.
Commissioner Street,
Yes.
Commissioner Halligus.
Yes.
Mayor Owen.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Walter P. Anderson, 14 May Avenue.
Okay, you have a minute rebuttal. Do you understand?
Understand that.
Okay.
I hope it won't take me that long to say what I'm going to say.
Okay, good for you.
Now, we're completely out of order. Completely out of order. Have several folks come up here, just run and go on. Then you ask them, do they need some more time? That's not in order. We all have lots to say, but we have to say it at a time that you got put on that clock. So when I'm up here, I look out of my corner of my eyes, y'all police officer trying to come up here to set me down. Nobody came, tried to pick it, stood up, tried to set nobody down. Got an order.
Thank you, Mr. Henry.
I mean, I'm leaving, but I would make a suggestion that we did before stick to 3 minutes for years. And it really does keep a little more order, although I enjoy hearing everybody. It does keep order and it keeps things more fair. And then there's always a communication and emails and all the things that you can do outside the meeting. But that was just my little 2 cents of how, it does kind of keep it a little easier to maintain.
Thank you. We're still in audience participation. Anybody else wish to speak? All right, audience participation is going. It's all over. And we're going to try to answer the questions. And so, pardon me?
I was just telling her she's over 50.
She's telling me I was old, making fun of me.
All right, we're going to let Mr. Hayes start off.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, first one up was Reverend Rufus Wood, who highlighted the difference between community and proximity, expressed his appreciation to the commission for their support of the MLK Rec Center and its rebuild following Hurricane Michael, had some questions about the employees and the staff of the MLK Rec Center, and requested to host a community meeting and also a meeting with myself. I'm happy to do that. I will just state there's not really going to be an executive director of the center. Keith Mefford, the Parks and Recs director himself, would have the responsibility for that facility. Now, the question is the manager or whatever title we come up with to kind of run that facility, that's a work in progress. We're working through that. We've done some preliminary cost estimates on the operation of that, what would staff look like. And obviously the 2026 budget cycle will also have a pretty tremendous effect on what that staff looks like as well. So we have started that process. Mr. Mefford and his team have put together, again, some preliminary numbers. But at the end of the day, as the director of Parks, Culture, and Recreation, he would have the responsibility and his team to oversee that. But would always welcome feedback from the community. And again, depending on the amount of budget that we propose and the commission ultimately approves later this year, will also have an impact on that. So,
what about, he asked about community meetings, which seemed like a good idea to me. Is that to be decided?
Well, yes. I mean, to me, that would probably be something that would be both kind of like a vision for the center, but also the part of the budget process. And we'll have multiple meetings and opportunities for that in July. And then again, probably in August and September as we prepare for that to come online later this year as budgeted in fiscal year 2026.
Okay, so members of the community will have some input as to what's
Absolutely. And additionally, I'm more than happy to meet with Reverend Wood, host him, and would welcome his feedback for sure.
No, excellent.
Yep. I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything.
While we're talking about that, I would first thank you, and I apologize. I missed calling you back this week, so I apologize for that, Reverend Wood. On point with the fact that we are creating the state-of-the-art multi-million-dollar facility. And so it's going to take a lot of money to run that. And toward that end, in terms of programming, I'm meeting with foundations and businesses in an effort to work out some partnerships for the programming. Staffing is one part of it, but then, we also have to do more of the content and programming. And there are partners that would be interested in helping us with that, toward that end, so that we could put, in my estimate or vision, the monies toward staffing it appropriately so that we can not just have a wonderful building, but not appropriate staff. And so I invite others in community who have connections to help us with the programming of the center as we are going through this budgeting process to make sure that we have the budget to staff it appropriately moving forward. So thank you for bringing that, and we're going to continue to work with staff and with community to make the MLK Center what we envision it to be in years to come.
And Janice is, in my opinion, you are a great collaborator. And I know you've probably already thought about it, but, with FSU and the education component over there, of what classes I don't mean adult classes necessarily, but, maybe tech classes or any kind of, with AI, it'd be really interesting to do some AI education for the kids growing up, all those connections. But that's the only way I can see it really flourishing, is to really get the community involved. And I just like to say I won't be up here anymore, but I'd still like to be involved.
How many
like
times
Dr.
you gonna
Wood.
say that?
Well, I just want to say, listen, I still want to, especially the MLK Rec Center, if I can help be a part of those community meetings just as a community member, I would be honored to do that and use any kind of partnerships or collaboration that I can help with that as well. Yeah.
You'll have to apply.
Excellent.
Shut up.
Okay.
He said I'll have to apply. Dr. Wood said he was fine with me being his sidekick, so.
All right, moving on, Mr. Jonathan.
Yes, up second was Mr. Henry, and he spoke about the need and appreciation for the majority to pass a vote and to advance an agenda item, and that respect was paramount on the dais and as the City Commission does its business. Next up was Robert Slay, spoke about 11 schools in Panama City and the surrounding areas and encouraged the commission to protect the downtown marina for fishing and community use. Next up was Mr. George Carruthers, asked about prioritizing safety issues and sidewalks, and then also asked a question about the FDOT and the design, referenced the Beach Drive sidewalk, and I can speak to that. Sidewalks is a huge focus. We have added thousands and thousands of linear feet of sidewalks with the SRF program and with other grants. We're also working with Safe Routes to School, Safe Streets and Roads grant program to continue to add sidewalks. And I think, we've been consistent that, the city, when it was originally designed, was not really built or designed with sidewalks. So that is definitely something that we're committed to. And there are lots of opportunities that we're also going to be using some surtax money later in this meeting for additional sidewalks as well in areas where the grants will not pay for it. As far as the design memos, the design standards, again, the Green Book and the FDOT design standards are practically the same as it relates to this. So the design standards for the path wouldn't necessarily change. And again, and I've spoken to this, the road transfer is not necessary for the path to move forward. In fact, the grant agreement and the approval to move forward, all of that preceded even the consideration to ask for the road. So I'm going to say that took place February or March of 2023, and then it wasn't until May or June when we asked for the road transfer to be considered. So that was a secondary. The original effort and initiation of this project never contemplated the road transfer. That was something that came down the road. So the options are, if they did transfer the road, we didn't need a right-of-way construction permit. If they don't transfer the road, which was the plan initially, we simply work with the FDOT and they'll grant us a right-of-way construction permit. So,
So can I just add to that
Sure.
real quick? I think what Mr. Carruthers, from what I took, is that I mean, maybe not significant, but there is a guideline, some distinctions between the Green Book and DOT being a little bit stricter. In some ways, they're stricter about the path being wider, which is interesting. But then there's different, there's some minimum barriers from the road and things like that if there's not a transfer. So that's what you're asking about, is how would that affect it? How would we be able to do that? I do know we can ask for exceptions for some of those things, but I don't know particularly what they would be, but that's what he's saying. If we don't do the transfer of road and we use what we went for originally, is the path still going to be possible with DOT restrictions on it? Would we have enough room in those areas to be able to do it? Now, I'm not saying we can answer all those questions today, but I think that's what you're asking. Okay, so if we could just confirm, which I've already kind of did, I was looking up some of it too, but if we could just, what he wants to know is it still going to be possible with the DOT restrictions? Would we have to have exceptions to those in order to do it, or would we not have to ask for any exceptions and be able to do it in the original ask without the road transfer?
Right, and I'll have to circle back on that.
Absolutely.
Again, though, the question is, would we be able to do it? The answer is yes, because we were going to do it in the right-of-way all along without even asking for the road transfer. I'll circle back, but I've been communicating with all of the design engineers, and they've told me the standards are basically the same. So I'm not sure what you're reading, but I believe you, so.
DOT versus, and like I said, in some ways, DOT actually really wants you to be at 12 foot to even 14 foot with multi-use sometimes, with a minimum being 8.
That is correct.
Okay, so, but that's probably not exactly what he's certainly advocating for.
I don't believe he's advocating for a 14-foot path.
You couldn't do
no.
it anyway, probably in that. I think it's more about barriers and stuff, and if we're doing this for pedestrian safety, I think just specifically, not that can we do it, of course we can, we'll do it, but I mean, obviously we wouldn't have asked for it, wouldn't have gotten granted probably the grant if we couldn't do it, but would it, how, he wants to know how exactly, how does that affect, how would this affect the redesign of the path, and in those DOT restrictions, how would we do that? Would we be able to do it without exceptions?
Yeah, so my understanding is, and I will follow up, but if it's 10-foot or 11-foot lanes, which 11-foot lanes is what we're working to, you don't require those exceptions.
Right.
Because it's a narrower
What if we don't
road.
change any lanes? Because we have to work inside the original grant, is what he's talking about.
Keeping 13-plus foot lanes,
That's what you're
that's not
talking
an
about,
option.
right?
Yeah, that's not an option. There would not be room on the far east end then, yeah.
And that's
The
what-
lanes will we have to modify, and we're working with FDOT in that. But this whole project right now is that they are going to sign off on our design, which was the original effort. So regardless of the standards, the exceptions, FDOT staff in Chipley will review, and they are reviewing it, and they will sign off it. Now, the plan, and I can merge into Mr. Picken now, we will have to make some modifications to those 100% plans, because the 100% plans was done based on the original concurrence that they would transfer the road, and so we designed it to 10-foot lanes for Beach Drive, and then a 12-foot path all the way. Because they've now indicated that they're not going to do that, that's going to, it's going to have an impact on that. So we will have to make some design modifications depending on the choice that FDOT makes in regards to 11 or 12 foot. We're working through that. We feel very confident that the 11-foot lanes is reasonable. We have communication from folks that use that for commerce, that's the minimum they would, that they would ask. And so that was something that we were happy to compromise on. I know that the estimate, that has been sent around. I've been copied on that going back to October. I know it's gone around multiple departments. I know we shared it with y'all. I know it's been shared with the public at least 2, if not 3 times. In there, though, is a very high contingency. We're also seeing prices come down. And I'll just say the very top of the document that Mr. Picken referenced, it says pre-design opinion of probable construction costs. That was just a very rough estimate as part of the application process, and we ended up only getting the $8 million. There's also we'll have an alternative $1 million estimate water line. We want to try to loop the system to improve water pressure in between St. Andrews and Panama City. And, you know, that's something that we don't have to do. And so, again, we remain committed to the estimate and that we will absolutely complete this project in accordance with the funds that we have. And I'll just add one more thing. You know, we keep, and I know to some it may be semantics, but it's not, because I don't believe it's fair to our design engineers. And you ask any of the design engineers that we use for a multitude of projects, I do give them a hard time. I know Mr. Murphy gives them a hard time from side to side, from time to time. But to say that we've spent over $1 million purely in design for this project is factually incorrect, and we need to stop saying it. It's not fair to design engineers that are working very hard for the city of Panama City on a multitude of reasons. I don't understand why that keeps getting poked at, but that included surveys and that filtered through the design engineer firm. But it was for surveys, it was for environmental survey, it was for property lines, it was for legal work to ensure, as this commission has been clearly committed to all along, that we would only do this inside the state maintenance right-of-way or the city's platted right-of-way. It also brought in an arborist and a horticulturist to look at every single tree to help us come up with a plan. So yes, I mean, that has an impact on the design, but to say that we've paid the design engineer firm over $1 million for this is incorrect.
Well, it's no different than we do infrastructure projects.
100% correct.
They subcontract out to everybody, but that's
They do.
not and I would like to add, when we accepted this grant years ago, it was with the idea that the city would still be responsible for about $1.5 million of the total project.
I think that was one of the original estimates, but again, that was even before I moved back here to Panama City. I think with some of the earlier conversations.
Was the total thing was like 9 or something like that, and they only granted, or 9.5, and they
I think we only asked for 8. That was my understanding, that Mr. McQueen actually on his own said, we're fine with $8 million, and then that's what affected it. That's what I've been told.
But I'm just making a point.
Mr. Mayor, I did skip Mr. Derek Thomas, so I just want to make sure I go back to that one.
Well, just hang on a minute. We're going to take a 12-minute break before we come back and finish audience participation. All right, social hour over.
Halagus. All right, Mr. Mayor, we were at the fifth speaker, which was Derek Thomas. He spoke about comments by payments made to St. Joe. I'll defer to the clerk on that in a moment. I saw him and Mr. Murphy speaking about some of the contact stuff. I assume they've worked that out, or at least connected, so I'll leave it to them. I'm not going to speak about the same drain again. I do know that, I mean, I understand as far as the lease with St. Joe, but I mean, I think we need to keep in mind they spent over $38 million to build those two facilities. So, Madam Clerk, I don't know if you want to add anything about some of the financial comments. I still don't understand what we're talking about there.
Well, the contract is the contract, and if that's the terms of the contract, then that's what they're paying, is the terms of the contract.
Somebody's got a cell phone on or something that keeps talking.
I hear a lot of background noise.
I don't know who
I
that
thought
is.
it was one of y'all on the dais. So it's not me.
Ain't me.
No. So I don't really have anything to add.
Okay. And then the last one.
I think on Derek, the numbers that he's got of the revenue are not right, because I get some stuff from Ms. Smith, and I'll send it to him.
Yep, okay, sir.
Because I think
that'd be a good idea.
I think he means well, but I think he just hasn't got the right numbers.
And then last, Mr. Walter Henry returned and addressed the commission about not being in order. And other than any comments on that, I would defer to you and the commissioners, Mr. Mayor.
That top one, that's the rent. If they're paying the
We'll get it to you, Derek. Yeah, send me your email when we get done here.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I know you were interrupted. Mr. Henry returned and addressed the commission about the meeting not being in order, and I'll just defer to you and the commissioners on any additional comments about that, sir.
What did he mean the meeting wasn't in order? Because I don't know.
I don't want to
We're
speak
getting
for
a little loose here, but
Yeah,
I think at the
I don't
same
wanna
time,
speak
if
for Mr.
somebody
Henry.
needs extra time, I don't have a beef about it, and Ms. Halligus doesn't have a beef about it, wherever she is. Okay. So Hank Picken is who we got to address next, I think, isn't it?
No, we
Or did
merged
you?
into his comments. I did. I addressed them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
with regards to the pre-design opinion and comparison that. And then I spoke about the design-only fees. I know that estimate from October's been circulated multiple times. And so, again, it will have to be redesigned depending on the final width of the lanes that the FDOT decides. And we're working through that with him right now.
Okay, thank you. All right,
consent.
Moving to the consent agenda, would anybody like to have any part of the consent agenda discussed?
A motion, we approve all of it.
I'll second.
And I'll just add, just for clarification, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, on item 9D and 9F, that would be consideration to award the bid and then authorization for the city manager to execute the contract. Just been flagged for us that approving the award of the bid and executing the contract are two separate action items, so that's what y'all would be approving.
Okay, we have a motion and a second under discussion. I would like to discuss 9K, and that is the financial status that Ms. Smith sends us every month. So I would like to pull that out.
There's already a motion and a second to approve everything, though, correct? Mr. Zimmerman?
Correct.
Yeah, but, okay. But we're also at the stage of discussion, and under my discussion, I would like to discuss Ms. Smith's financial statement 9K. Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
I'm confused. Point of order, Mayor, if we pass this motion, then that moots your request for a discussion.
That's true. That means you don't want to hear my part of the discussion if you pass this motion. That's how I read it.
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halligus?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
No.
Motion passes 4-1.
All right. Item number 10, that is, I think, you, Madam Clerk. Nope, that's the mayor's report. Never mind.
10A. Let's see.
Sorry, the memo's from you, but it is the mayor's section. My apologies.
It's okay. You got it?
Okay, I'm about to get it. All right, number 10A is the term expirations of the Civil Service Board. The board has two positions for a 2-year term that expires May 12th. The current board members, David Vickers and David Randall, have expressed an interest in retaining their position. The board hears appeals of disciplinary action against city employees who are covered by the city's civil service ordinance and the city's code of ordinances. When inquiring into charges and hearing appeals of employee-related matters, the board members have the power to administer oaths and the authority to compel by subpoena the attendance and testimony of witnesses and the production of relevant data to the inquiry or hearing. The city commission appoints 2 members of the board. 2 members are elected by city employees who are covered by the city's civil service ordinance, and the 4 members select the 5th board member. The 5th member is ratified by the city commission. Board members must be over the age of 18. No person who has been convicted of a felony or who is an officer or employee of the city shall be eligible to hold office as a member of the board. Board members are not subject to term limitations. Members are appointed a period of 2 years on the first day of May of each odd-numbered year. The board meets as needed. So is there a motion regarding the term expirations, which I believe would be to continue David Vickers and David Randall since they appear to be the only applicants?
I'm not sure that a motion would be appropriate. This is just the first notice, correct?
Generally, if they're already board members and they wish to continue on the board, it would be appropriate for the commission to go ahead and reappoint them. But if the commission is not of that ilk, then you can certainly.
I'll motion to retain both. I met with both of them.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Ms. Smith, call the roll.
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halagus?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Do you need to read anything, Nevin?
No, sir.
All right, okay. Going on 10B, a notice of vacancy of the DIB. The DIB has one position open that expires September the 2nd, 2027. The city clerk's office has one applicant that is in the process of interviews. So there's an interview going on for the position. The DIB is an agency of the city and works towards the revitalization and growth of downtown Panama City. To qualify for appointment to the DIB and remain qualified to serve on this board, a prospective member or member already appointed shall be an owner of realty within the downtown area and subject to ad valorem taxation, a lessee thereof required by the lease to pay taxes thereon, or a director, officer, or managing agent of an owner or a lessee thereof so required to pay taxes, or a resident of the downtown area, but no two shall be affiliates of the same corporation, partnership, or other business entity, nor shall any member be serving as a city officer or employee. The mayor appoints members of this 7-member board with the concurrence of the city commission. Board members serve 3-year terms and are subject to term limitation. A member who has served 8 years on this board must be reappointed by a unanimous vote of the commission. The DIB meets on the first Wednesday of each month. Applications are available at the city website. So that's a notice of vacancy, and the city clerk has an applicant. Let's move on to 10C. Acknowledgement of appointment to the Firefighters Pension Trust Fund. Acknowledgement of appointment to the Panama City Firefighters Pension Trust Board. Member Kevin Granberg was reappointed by the board members March 6, 2025 to a 4-year term that expires April 16, 2025. The board is responsible for investment and reinvestment of the assets of the fund, determining all claims for retirement benefits, for exercising the sole and exclusive administration and the proper operation of the City of Panama City Municipal Firefighters Pension Trust Fund. The board performs such actuarial and accounting functions as required by law and fulfills all other activities as may be required by law in accordance with Ordinance 2390. The board is a 5-member board. The city commission appoints 2 members that must reside in the city to serve on the board. The fire department selects 2 board members, and the board appoints the 5th member. The 5th member is ratified by the commission. Members serve 4-year terms. The board is not subject to term limitation. The board meets the first Thursday of each calendar quarter. So this is a knowledge of an appointment to the Pension Trust Fund, and Kevin Granberg was reappointed. Do we have any discussion?
I'll motion that we ratify the reappointment of Kevin Granberg.
Second?
All right. Ms. Smith, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halagus?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, this is the announcement of vacancies on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee has 5 positions, one each for the mayor and commissioners to appoint, and the commission as a whole to approve. These are the initial appointments for the committee. Appointments are for a 12-month period. Interested parties should complete a board application located on the city's website at Boards and Committees, Panama City, Florida website, or contact the city clerk at panamacity.gov. The City Commission adopted a framework March 25th for the Parks and Recreation Committee. The following parameters were agreed. 5 members selected by the mayor and commissioners, appointed by the commission as a whole. Members must be city residents. The committee's scope is limited to the designation of premier parks, suggestions for closures, and suggestions for parks realignment. Activities to be conducted within a 12-month time frame to evaluate community interest and preference include develop and distribute surveys, conduct charrettes, town hall meetings in appropriate community areas, and perform analyses of data collected and report findings. So this is announcement of the vacancies. Let's see. When are they going to be selected? Do we have that?
I think we've only got 1 applicant so far.
Okay. Guess we need more applicants, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right.
I would just add from staff's, I mean, our goal would be to hopefully get y'all to confirm them in June and then tell them to get going to work in July. That, Mr. Mefford stepped out, but that was kind of what we've talked about, Mayor, Commissioners.
Thank you. All right, Mr.
I can't add that the attorney's office is still working on the list of parks and any restrictions that are associated with any of the parks. So we are still working on that matter before it can be turned over to any kind of committee.
Okay, still a work in progress then.
Yes.
The wheels of government move slow, but deliberately. All right, Mr. Zimmerman, you're up.
The item I have is a request to approve the Fixel Law Firm retainer agreement. The city has been contacted by the Florida Department of Transportation with a request to purchase some slivers or a portion of parcels of property that the city owns, and it's along 15th Street near MLK Boulevard, and it's in connected with the widening of 15th Street with the ramp that will be built there at 15th and Harrison Avenue and 231. Joe Fixel and his son William Fixel, members of the bar that specialize in eminent domain, we are requesting that you retain them, as well as we would also be involved as your city attorney in obtaining this. The school board had a similar request for purchase and along the practice field at Bay High School along 15th Street, and they retained the Fixel Law Firm, and they were able to settle for more than what was initially offered. Florida law highly regulates this area, so anytime there's a public purpose, a public need, the Florida Department of Transportation is entitled to take property, and then they pay the fair market value for that property. And if you hire an attorney, which you already have one, and we would work together with the Fixel Law Firm, the fees that are paid are regulated by the statute, and no fees are paid if the total amount that has been offered is $1 million. If we end up settling for $1 million, then there are no attorney's fees because no benefit was brought to the project. But to the extent that you receive more than $1 million in the settlement, then the fees would be on top of that amount as regulated. The fee would be paid whether there was one firm or two firms, and this sets out how the fee would be shared. Work would be done by Burke Blue, but the lead work would be done by the Fixel Law Firm. So request is to approve it.
Nevin, I have a question. Should we see an alternative besides selling these parcels, like a land exchange or things like that? I know in the past we've done multiple different ways of resolving right-of-way needs with FDOT. Is that allowed in this contract?
So in other words, if there would be a value, I can find out exactly how that would work, but there would be, if there was land exchange and the city and DOT agreed that the city would be getting land that's worth $1.5 million in exchange for or that the land that we're getting is $1.5 million, then the fees would work off of the value or the benefit received.
Okay, but to answer my question, it doesn't mean that we have to be monetarily compensated. It could be something else.
Correct.
And I don't have any idea what that would be. I just want to make sure we're not hamstringing ourselves.
No.
In negotiation.
And anything you do, anything that is done comes back to the city commission for approval.
Okay.
Well, we are sort of asking the DOT for some land along West Beach Drive. If we put those two together, if we played nice with them along Beach Drive, would they play? Is there grounds for us to work together with them and not fight? This looks like a fight of some sort, but I guess it's not personal.
There's, in negotiations, anything can be done and tied together. But it really is, FDOT does this so often, it's just the way you do business with FDOT, that they offer you amount of money. If you don't think that's what you want, or it's not adequate, or you want to explore whether or not it's really needed, then you hire an attorney and you get to work.
I see. And that's what the Fixel firm does.
Yes.
They fix things.
Yes. They're many, especially in the panhandle of Florida, they are highly used and well respected.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the retainer agreement with the Fixel law firm?
A motion, we approve the retainer agreement.
Second.
Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halagus?
Yes.
Mayor Rowland?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Great. Item 12A is to consideration to approve Resolution 2025-0513.2, authorizing the City of Panama City to accept a state-funded grant for Rails with Trails in the amount of $405,000 and approve the Budget Amendment Resolution 2025-0513.1. As background information, the Engineering Division of the Public Works Department is requesting approval of resolution authorizing the city to accept state-funded grant managed by the FDOT for planning of the Panama City Rails with Trails project. This project is for the planning of a multi-use trail and associated items along the Bayline Railroad, Genesee and Wyoming. This project will include Phase 1, Hathaway Bridge to Michigan Avenue, Phase 2 from Michigan Avenue to State Road 77 or MLK Boulevard, 2 State Road 30 East US 98, West Beach Drive, and Phase 3 Frankfurt Avenue from State Road 30, US 98, West Beach Drive to the end of the pavement. The purpose of this project is to facilitate pedestrian and bicycle commuting and recreation by adding a multimodal link to established routes serving Port Facility, FSU, Gulf Coast State College, multiple schools, parks, businesses, and a variety of neighborhoods in Panama City. Staff recommendation to the Director of Public Works is that the Commission approve this resolution and the accompanying budget resolution.
It looks to me like some of this money comes from the infrastructure surtax fund, is that correct?
Yes.
Correct. That's the match. We have to match it's a $405,000 grant, and it's a 50-50 match.
Okay.
So.
Well.
And I just want to point out, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, if you look on the screen, you kind of see the plan. I know, we talk about the Beach Drive path being a path to nowhere. Obviously, that's also incorrect. This is the plan. And so if you look at the kind of the pink and the green and the baby blue, that's Phase 1, 2, and 3, if I'm looking right. Nope, sorry. I got to look at my eyesight. Oh, that is right. Gotcha. Sorry. Yes. Sorry, I don't have good eyesight. So the pink, the green, and the baby blue, thus Phase 1, 2, and 3, and this grant will take the design of those up to 30% for all 3 phases. So.
I think sidewalks are great.
Yep.
But could infrastructure surtax money be used to fix some of our stations, our lift stations? I mean, we got a bunch of bad lift stations, and I know we're working on them, but I don't think we have the money to do them all. So, to me, could this money be used for that?
For some of the lift stations, I mean, even if it could, I don't know that. I don't think we have. I mean, yes or no? It can't. Yes. Okay, so it could be, but I don't know that I would necessarily recommend that. I mean, we've got tens of millions of dollars right now that are coming in from HMGP, Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, through CDBG, Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, plus some of our own efforts, plus even utilizing SRF dollars to repair up to 80 of our, in between 50 and 80 of our lift stations right now. So I'm not sure if Mr. Jones has, been speaking maybe in regards to 1 or 2 of the other lift stations that are considered critical where there isn't funding. We haven't necessarily prioritized out the infrastructure surtax, starting next year when the next decade kicks in. But that's certainly an option that we would be open to if we have that recommendation from our city utilities engineer.
So to add to this, this particular project and this grant has been in process for about 3.5 years. And so it's included letters of support from the college, from Lucille Moore, from several others in our community to get to this point. While the surtax portion, the $202,000 could be used for other things, the matching funds that FDOT's provided could not. And so, we would be rejecting essentially, a dollar for dollar match by rejecting this particular grant.
I see. Well, it just seemed to me that sidewalks are important, but I think sewers are a little more important, but that's just me. But I understand if we've been working on it for 3 years, it's not very polite to pull the plug now. I get that.
I think to Mr. Carruthers' point, what happened with Ms. Santiago, there's a lot of other circumstances involved in that one. I do think pedestrian safety's got to be something that we put a high priority on. This stretch of roadway that exists between the bridge and a little past Lisenby Avenue is one of the most deadly in the state. And so anything we can do to improve pedestrian mobility inside of these districts is just going to save lives. And so this has an opportunity to do that.
Okay. Anybody else wish to discuss this?
Mr. Mayor, I will add that the first 10 years of surtax, we absolutely did spend money on lift stations and utilities projects. We enhanced and created more capacity in 2 lift stations that service the Panama City North and Liberty area to create more capacity for our system. And then lift station 34 that's across from Sweet Bay, we had an obligation to move the existing lift station 34 that was on Sweet Bay's property off of it, and we created a master lift station across the street. So we've done some pretty major investments in our lift stations and utilities capacity.
Okay, thank you.
Question, is the surtax dollars for this project already in current surtax dollars, or would it be in the ones to come?
It's current.
Thank you.
With the anticipation of getting this grant is why we had it, and this is,
So it's in ones to come? Is that what you?
No.
That was my question, but the answer
That was your question. I didn't hear the answer.
Jared said it would.
It's in the current decade that we're in, kind of the tail end.
Thank you. All right, would someone like to make a motion regarding Resolution 202-2505, 513.2?
Second.
Any further discussion? Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halagus?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
And did we adopt 2 resolutions?
No.
So we adopted point 2?
Yes, sir.
Resolution number 20-2505-13.2, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Panama City authorizing the city to accept a state-funded grant for Rails with Trails project and enter into the agreement. Thank you.
For the record, I stated in my recommendation that was moved, I believe that both of them be done. I read both of them, so.
Okay, so we need a separate motion on the budget amendment resolution? Would that
Yes.
be appropriate?
That's correct.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Would someone like to make a motion?
Second.
Can you call the roll, Ms. Smith?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halagus?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Commission adopted Resolution 2025-0513.1, a resolution providing for the amendment of the approved fiscal year 24-25 budget to utilize and expend FDOT grant funding for the Rails with Trails project with the match to be funded by infrastructure surtax funds.
Item 12B is consideration of approval of Carl Gray Maintenance Dredge Change Order Number 1 to Bayside Dredging, the amount of $51,400, and the approval of Budget Amendment Resolution 202-50513.3. As background information, the pre-dredge survey has identified 827 cubic yards of spoil needing removal. This is 257 cubic yards in excess of the 570 cubic yards of sand spoil anticipated in the bid. Just as a side note, that was engineered and reviewed 5 years ago, which is where the additional 257 cubic yards came from over a 5-year period. This project is the final project in the Hurricane Sally FEMA portfolio. FEMA will pay 95% of the cost to perform the work, and the remaining 5% will be funded from the engineering budget. This change order also extends the project 30 days due to delays with the pre-dredge survey. Staff recommendation through the Director of Public Works is that the Commission approve this expenditure and the accompanying budget amendment resolution.
Thank you. Any discussion regarding Resolution 2025-05-13.3? Would anyone like to make a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halagus?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Commission has adopted Resolution 2025-0513.3, a resolution providing for the amendment of the approved fiscal year 24-25 budget for change order 1 of the Carl Gray Park Maintenance Garage.
Item 12C is consideration to authorize the submission of boating infrastructure grant, or BIG, program application to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, FWC, and approval of Resolution 2025-0513.4. As background information, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service established the BIG program to provide funding to local governments for the construction of tie-up facilities for transient recreational boats. The City of Panama City is applying for Tier 1 funding through the BIG program to construct a new 270-foot side tie dock along the waterfront of the downtown marina. This new infrastructure will provide much-needed short-term mooring for visiting boaters, enabling convenient access to the walkable downtown district, which features a variety of restaurants, shops, cultural venues, and parks. The estimated total cost of the project is $500,000. The City of Panama City is committing a local match of $200,000, which would be 40% of the cost, and is seeking $300,000 or 60% in BIG funding. Attaches a resolution under consideration to authorize the submission of the boating infrastructure grant application to the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, and authorizes the city manager to execute any agreements, amendments, and certifications necessary to support the application and potential implementation of the project when awarded. Some additional background information, Mayor and Commissioners. The first resolution, you remember we did, I think maybe a month ago, that was for the boat ramp itself, and that was to DEP. This one is for the dock that will be around it for kind of day docking and mooring. It goes to the Fish and Wildlife Commission. So staff recommendation through the Director of Parks, Culture, and Recreation Department is that the Commission approve this request and the accompanying resolution.
So is this dock going to be next to the boat ramp? It just says it's going to be at the marina.
That is correct, sir.
Okay. So it would be on the right side, obviously. That's the only side that there's, well, I don't know, there's actually.
It would be around multiple sides. It would allow, this is what would enhance, again, day docking, it would enhance ADA access and all of that, so.
So it's like where people drop their boat in, they can tie it up.
They could tie it up and then
temporarily while they go.
Walk to Harrison's, walk down to the place or something, catch a show maybe on the lawn or something, anything they want to do, and it would be right there. It wouldn't necessarily require a permanent slip.
Maybe they just want to go park their trailer.
Well, they would be arriving on a boat.
Oh, well, I'm talking about now if people have their boat on a trailer and they dump it in the water, then they've got to go park the boat and trailer.
They do. Well, that's part of this project because we're adding those. Remember, we had the rendering. We're adding all the parking for boat trailer parking. I think it's 55 to 60 trailer spots in addition, and then enhancing and enlarging the boat ramp. Something that y'all have been committed to since I've been here.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this is a grant to apply for this. Is that
correct?
Is that how I read? Okay, thank you.
It's a resolution that y'all support it, basically. Just a formal way of stating you support it.
Okay.
A motion we approve.
I'll second the motion.
And just have a question in reference to the nearest adjacent transient boating facilities. Why would Snug Harbor not be listed here?
Can you tell me what page you're looking at, Commissioner?
Page 2, locality information in the middle of the block, the last section of that says list the nearest adjacent transient boating facility. So is Snug Harbor not considered transient?
No, ma'am. Snug Harbor is just an access point. A transient boater improvement could be something like another day dock facility or potentially a mooring field or something that you could stay overnight potentially.
Okay.
Yes, Snug Harbor's just a boat ramp with a staging dock.
So Commissioner Halagus, perhaps we need a ferry from downtown to Millville.
That's what I'm talking about. I want one everywhere. Sweet Bay, beach, take it everywhere.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halagus?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
And if I may, Mayor, I'd just like to take a point of personal privilege to acknowledge Mr. Cruzan, the husband of my 4th grade teacher at Oakland Terrace. Thank you for being here and for what you're doing for our community.
Is he a boater?
He's,
Okay, good. Thank you.
The commission adopted resolution number 2025-0513.4, a resolution of the City Panama City Commission authorizing the submission of an application to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services Boating Infrastructure Grant Program for improvements to the Panama City Marina.
Item 12D is consideration to approve change order number 2 and the accompanying budget amendment resolution number 2025-0513.5 from CBC Construction for the amount of $2,105,568.46 needed for additional infrastructure work in M0016 Restore Area A2. As background information, existing water mains on Peters Drive, Shepherd Street, Whiting Circle, Drummond Avenue, West 22nd Plaza, West 22nd Place, which are not included in the original scope of work for the project area A2, are hereby now included. The water lines have exceeded their expected life cycle and need to be replaced. In addition, the need for additional sidewalks in Area A2 have been identified to increase safe walkability between this neighborhood and Lucille Moore Elementary School located at 19th Street and Michigan Avenue. This request includes the reallocation of surplus funds from the M0176 Project Storm to address the additional water lines to be restored in the M0016 Restore Area A2 project for the amount of $1.8 million. This request is also seeking to use the infrastructure surtax funds, current funds, in the amount of $222,332.04 for additional sidewalks and the approval of the accompanying budget resolution number 2025-0513.5. This approval will also authorize the city manager to sign the amendment to the funding agreement with the Department of Commerce as described above. The approval of change order from CBC Construction will allow us to move forward with this proposed work without delay. Staff recommendation through the Director of Public Works is that the commission approve change order number 2 from CBC Construction to perform the additional water main replacement and the accompanying budget amendment resolution 2025-0513.5, authorizing the city manager to execute the amended Florida Department of Commerce agreement.
Thank you. Anyone up here want to speak to change order number 2 and the accompanying budget resolution 2025-0513.5?
So to give some background, Mr. and Mrs. Mandeville are here, and a resident before Joseph had reached out to me too had notated they didn't see a water line getting replaced in their area. And that led to a lot of other questions like, why didn't that happen? What was going on? It turns out this particular grant, because it was attached to Hurricane Michael damage, if the water line was not damaged, it couldn't be replaced with the funding. However, since that conversation and since those points, both the state has agreed to a free allocation to seeing those water lines replaced. And it is critical because these are 2-inch water lines. We've all seen what these look like across the city. Some areas didn't have fire hydrants or they didn't have a fire hydrant that worked. And so just want to say thank you to the staff as well as the citizens advocating for seeing this project get fully complete, because it would be a shame for us to replace the roads and then leave a 2-inch water line that we're probably going to end up replacing in 3 years anyway. So
It probably had shrunk to a 1/4-inch line.
yeah, it was, they were not in good shape. And so this makes the project complete and whole, as well as what we communicated to the citizens that were there. Unfortunately, there were some grant unclarifications that have now been clarified and ultimately are being made right. So appreciate you and your wife, Joseph, for advocating and as well as the neighborhood. So
very good.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, is this the same area where you guys are? I'm also very, very happy. I know we were talking about sidewalks earlier. Everything's important, and that's the hard part is like, yes, obviously water, sewer, all those things are important, but spending this kind of money in this area and not having sidewalks put in would just be a shame. So I'm very excited that y'all are doing that, and it adds to the quality of life in a different way, obviously, than just water and sewer. So awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I want to add something just for y'all's awareness. And I think, Jerome, I think there's another slide that shows the sidewalk plan, sir. So, yeah, that's it right there. So one of the things that we did not know early on is, with state revolving fund, we have flexibility to add sidewalks. With the CDBG disaster recovery, we don't. And so I know that we want to be consistent across all our neighborhoods. And so this is why we've identified paths where we want to create and promote walkability. So you'll see some other recommendations in front of this commission coming back for projects in Millville and in the Cove and also in the Glenwood community in the coming months, where we need to also add these sidewalks, because it's great that we got this, $25-30 million CDBG DR grant to do the infrastructure work, but we also want to make sure we're consistent with adding sidewalks where able across our entire community.
And just to follow up on what you're saying, SRF, we use CDBG when we can because that's free money, right? But that's really only qualifies for what they consider a lower to moderate income.
Correct.
So I've had that in, we've Millville, Glenwood, a lot of St. Andrews, downtown is considered the same thing. And so SRF, we have that flexibility because it's, we can't fund it from anything else, but then you kind of end up having a haves and haves not. So the CDBG is very important that y'all in the future, just like you said, I appreciate it, love it, but we got to make sure we continue to just pour in that. I mean, $222,000 sounds like a lot, and it is, but in the scheme of it all, it's just a no-brainer, so.
The only other thing that I'll add is all of these sidewalks that are in ththese areas that have been CBDG have been designed. And so in future meetings, expect to see like the SS4A funding, that's the Safe Streets for All, as we try to utilize what we designed for construction-ready projects to see sidewalks on every city street. And so that's a good opportunity for us. While we can't construct everything due to budgetary restraints, we can put this all in a process to continue to draw down the funds that we can from our federal and state tax dollars.
And standard sidewalks now is at 5 foot. Is that right? I'm looking at you, Point, because I really don't know. And I'm just curious.
But yes, correct.
I mean, at one point, I've seen little 3-footers before.
Yeah,
That was
there's
really tough, so.
Minimum 5 foot though for ADA, right?
Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Do we have a motion to approve change order 2 with budget amendment 2025-05-13.5?
I'd love to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halligus?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Do you need to read, Nathan?
I do.
12D.
Thank you. Got sidetracked.
Sure. Can you see mine? You got it.
Got it. Okay, 12D, Resolution 2025-0513.5, a resolution providing for the amendment of the approved fiscal year 24-25 budget to utilize infrastructure surtax funds for Project Restore Area A2.
All right, item 12E was moved to May 27th. So moving into item 12F. Item 12F is consideration and approval to enter into negotiations for the request for proposal PC 25-018 regarding the Breezeway property at 447 Harrison Avenue with Virtuous Cycle LLC. As background information, on March 4th of 2025, the city issued a request for proposals to solicit competitive bids for the Breezeway property located at 447 Harrison Avenue. This action was initiated in response to a letter of support from the Downtown Improvement Board, which recommended the sale of the property to relieve the Community Redevelopment Agency from further financial investment in completing the design renovation project. The RFP was open and obviously the commission approved that. The RFP was open for 30 days, during which 2 proposals were received. An evaluation committee reviewed both submissions based on established criteria, and at its April 25th, 2025 meeting, unanimously recommended entering into contract negotiations with Virtuous Cycle LLC. A representative from Virtuous Cycle LLC is present here today and available to answer any questions that the commission may have regarding their submitted proposal. Staff recommendation through the city manager's office is that the commission approve authorization to enter into contract negotiations with Virtuous Cycle LLC for the Breezeway property located at 447 Harrison Avenue. And of course, the contract would come back to the commission for final approval. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Would anyone like to discuss the negotiations for and request for proposals, PC 25-018, regarding the Breezeway property?
I just want to make sure they're going to build what they've illustrated here. Is that what?
Gray, are you here to yeah, come on up.
Are you?
Yes. Well, I
I was like, wow, it's great.
it looks beautiful. It's got it's got ADA access. I mean, there's multiple things that are here that are exactly what we asked for. So
We might remove our recommendation now. Just kidding, sir. Just kidding.
Good morning, Mayor, Commissioners. Gray Dodge, 653 West 23rd Street, on behalf of Virtuous Cycle LLC. Yes, the vision is to build what we've proposed. Obviously, that was preliminary in response to the RFP. At this stage, this is just permission from the commission to enter negotiations. We imagine that will be a long process with the city to figure out prioritizing public needs as well as what works privately.
I don't know if y'all have looked through this whole thing, but it is really exciting. And it was smart of them for you to collaborate with them, because nobody knows this project better than you and what the city really wants. And just the urbanism, and I mean, these are the things that you dream of when you're revitalizing a downtown. It's not just these big, huge investments. It's these small infill projects, people who really get it and get excited about being creative and being a part of the community. So everything in this is just outstanding. I mean, they totally get that. They're going to continue with community input. They're still going to honor all the breezeway access and bathrooms. And it looks like, in partnership still with the city and the DIB and the CRA and all that. And I see they're going to want to go after the TIF program, which also makes me excited because that means that it's working.
I've heard of that program.
Yeah, so that's pretty, you were part of that. I don't know who helped us with that. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, so, I mean, I am thrilled to death. Of course, I'm going to move a motion to move forward to get into these negotiations and go through that process. So, I mean, I have 1,000% support it and appreciate everything that's in it. It's one of the most respectful offers I've seen.
Second.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halligus?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay. I believe we're done, folks.
A motion to adjourn.
Second.
Praise the Lord.
Commissioner
Can you call the roll, please, Ms. Smith?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halligus?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Meeting's adjourned.
It's on the tip of my tongue where my vote.